Stop applying that expensive dark spot corrector to your face every morning. I know that sounds strange coming from a doctor. I know you have probably been buying those $60, $80, even $200 serums for years, the ones that promise to fade age spots in 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And I know that if you are being honest with yourself, if you stood in front of the mirror this morning and really looked, those spots are still there. Maybe they have faded a tiny bit. Maybe a few new ones have appeared on your cheeks, your forehead, the back of your hands, and you have started to wonder, is anything actually working? I am Dr. William Lee, and I have spent over 3 decades studying how nutrition and natural compounds interact with human biology at the deepest cellular level. And what I'm about to share with you today, the one single kitchen ingredient that targets pigmentation at its root cause, is not something you will hear in a dermatologist office. Not because it does not work, but because most doctors are trained to prescribe, not to look in your kitchen. Today, we are going deep into the science of why those dark patches form after 60, why most over-the-counter creams fail at the molecular level, and the 5 most powerful natural compounds, ranked from number 5 to number 1, that actually help your skin clear those spots and restore even tone. And I want to tease something for you right now. The number 1 ingredient, the grand finale, is something sitting in your kitchen right now. Something so common you have walked past it 100 times this week and never thought to apply it to your skin. But science says you should. Stay with me. That final one is worth every minute of your time. Now, before I reveal these 5 compounds, I need to ask you to do something for me. Drop a comment below and tell me your age and how long you have been struggling with dark spots or uneven skin tone. Is it 6 months, 5 years, 20 years? I read every single comment on this channel, every one. And I want you to know that you are not alone in this. I think of a patient I will call Margaret, 68 years old, a retired school teacher from Portland, Oregon. Margaret came to me 3 years ago and she said, and I will never forget this, she said, "Dr. Lee, I have spent more money on dark spot creams than I spent on my daughter's wedding dress." And when she said that, I did not laugh because I knew exactly what she meant. Margaret had spent decades, literally decades, chasing a solution, and she was exhausted. She felt like her skin was telling a story she did not want to be telling, a story of aging that made her feel invisible. So let us understand exactly what is happening to your skin right now. Because understanding the mechanism, this is what separates genuine science from wellness folklore. This is not something I found on a blog. This comes from peer-reviewed research published in some of the most respected medical journals in the world. Your skin contains cells called melanocytes. These are specialized cells that produce melanin, the pigment that gives your skin its color. Think of melanocytes as tiny paint factories. When you are young, those factories produce melanin evenly, smoothly across the entire canvas of your skin. The result is an even, uniform complexion. But here is what happens as you accumulate decades of sun exposure. Ultraviolet radiation, UVA and UVB, damages the DNA inside your melanocytes. And when those cells get damaged, something goes wrong with their internal machinery, specifically an enzyme called tyrosinase. This is the key enzyme that controls melanin production. Tyrosinase goes into overdrive. Think of tyrosinase as the foreman in the melanin factory. In a healthy young skin cell, the foreman says, "Produce a little melanin," and then stop. But after 40, 50, 60 years of cumulative sun damage, the foreman has gone rogue. He is shouting, "Produce, produce, produce," and nobody is telling him to stop. The result? Localized islands of hyperpigmentation, those dark brown patches on your cheeks, your forehead, your hands. They are not stains sitting on the surface of your skin. They are active melanin factories that have been switched on and refuse to switch off. Now, here is where things get truly fascinating, and this is the part that most expensive creams completely ignore. Even if you manage to fade the existing melanin on the surface through exfoliation, through chemical peels, through bleaching agents, if you do not shut down the tyrosinase overdrive happening inside the cell, those spots will come back again and again and again. It is like painting over rust without treating the metal underneath. The rust comes back because you never address the source. This is precisely why I want to share these 5 natural compounds with you. Each one of them works not by bleaching your skin from the outside, but by communicating with your melanocytes at the cellular level to calm that tyrosinase overdrive. This is not wellness folklore. These compounds have been studied in rigorous clinical trials, and they target the root cause of pigmentation. Let us begin the countdown from number 5 to number 1. Compound number 5, niacinamide. Niacinamide is a form of vitamin B3. It is water soluble. It is incredibly gentle on the skin, and it has one of the strongest bodies of clinical evidence for treating hyperpigmentation in aging skin. There is a landmark study published in the British Journal of Dermatology. This was a double-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled clinical trial, the gold standard of scientific research. The researchers took a group of patients with melasma and hyperpigmentation, and they gave one group a 4% niacinamide cream applied twice daily. The other group received a placebo, so an inactive cream. After 8 weeks, the results were striking. The niacinamide group showed a significant reduction in hyperpigmentation, decreased facial redness, and improved overall skin tone. But here is what you need to understand about how niacinamide actually works. It does not directly inhibit tyrosinase like some of the other compounds we will discuss. Instead, niacinamide interferes with the transfer of melanin from the melanocyte, where it is manufactured, to the surrounding skin cells called keratinocytes. Think of it this way. If the melanin factory is still producing pigment, but the delivery trucks cannot leave the loading dock, the pigment never reaches the visible surface of your skin. Niacinamide blocks the delivery trucks. And this is why it is such an excellent foundational ingredient. It stops new pigment from surfacing, while other ingredients work to calm the factory itself. And there is something else that makes niacinamide particularly valuable for skin over 60. As we age, our skin's barrier function, the outermost protective layer, becomes compromised. Niacinamide has been shown to strengthen the skin barrier by boosting the production of ceramides, which are the natural lipids that hold your skin cells together. A stronger barrier means less water loss, less irritation, and a more resilient complexion overall. The research published in the journal Cosmoderma in early 2024 reviewed multiple clinical studies and concluded that niacinamide is particularly effective for elderly skin, not just for pigmentation, but for overall skin health. Now, I want to tell you about Margaret again. When Margaret started her protocol, I recommended she use a 4 to 5% niacinamide serum every morning, applied to clean skin before her moisturizer and sunscreen. Niacinamide plays very well with other ingredients. It does not cause irritation. It does not conflict with vitamin C or retinoids. It is the diplomatic ingredient. It gets along with everyone. And Margaret found that after about 4 weeks, her skin started to look brighter, more even, less blotchy. The redness around her dark spots, that inflamed halo that often surrounds age spots, that began to calm down first. Then gradually, the spots themselves began to lighten. Compound number 4, koyic acid. Now let me tell you something that is going to surprise you. Koyic acid is a natural compound produced by certain species of fungi, specifically Aspergillus oryzae, the same fungus used to ferment sake, soy sauce, and miso in Japanese cuisine. That is right. One of the most effective natural skin lightening compounds in the world comes from the same fermentation process that gives you your miso soup. Koyic acid works through a completely different mechanism than niacinamide. It is a direct tyrosinase inhibitor. Remember the foreman I told you about, the one shouting produce, produce, produce inside the melanin factory? Koyic acid walks into that factory and tells the foreman to sit down and be quiet. It binds directly to the tyrosinase enzyme and prevents it from catalyzing the chemical reaction that produces melanin. Specifically, koyic acid chelates, meaning it grabs onto the copper ions that tyrosinase needs to function. Without copper, tyrosinase is like a car without fuel. The engine is there, the key is in the ignition, but it cannot go anywhere. Here is the research. A randomized split-face clinical trial compared koyic acid against hydroquinone, the prescription strength bleaching agent that dermatologists have used for decades. The result? Koyic acid was as effective as hydroquinone for treating melasma and hyperpigmentation. But, and this is a very important but, koyic acid does not carry the same risks. Hydroquinone, when used long term, can cause a condition called ochronosis, a paradoxical darkening of the skin that is often permanent. Koyic acid does not cause this. It is gentler, it is natural, and the clinical data shows it works. A comprehensive review published in the journal Cosmetics in 2022 examined decades of research on koyic acid and confirmed its effectiveness for treating freckles, age spots, post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, and melasma. The review also noted that when koyic acid is combined with other lightening agents, particularly glycolic acid or vitamin C, the results are even more pronounced because you are attacking pigmentation from multiple angles simultaneously. For Margaret, I recommended a product containing 1 to 2% koyic acid used in the evening, alternating nights with another ingredient I will reveal in a moment. Koyic acid can be slightly irritating for some skin types, which is why I always recommend starting with a lower concentration and never using it on the same night as strong exfoliating acids or retinoids. Now, I want to pause here because I need to ask something of you. If you are finding this information genuinely valuable, if this feels like the kind of content that actually respects your intelligence and gives you the mechanism, not just the headline, please take 2 seconds right now and hit the subscribe button below and give this video a thumbs up. This channel exists specifically for adults in their 60s, 70s, and 80s who deserve access to evidence-based health information delivered clearly and without condescension. Your support means this content reaches more people who need it. Compound number 3, tranexamic acid. Now here is where things get truly cutting edge. Tranexamic acid, abbreviated as TXA, is a synthetic derivative of the amino acid lysine. It has been used in medicine for decades, primarily to control bleeding during surgery and heavy menstrual periods. But in the last 5 to 7 years, dermatologists have discovered something remarkable about tranexamic acid. When applied topically to the skin, it is one of the most powerful treatments for stubborn pigmentation that we have ever seen. Here is the mechanism, and I want you to understand this because it is different from everything we have discussed so far. Your melanocytes do not operate in isolation. They communicate with surrounding skin cells through chemical signals. One of the most important signals is something called plasmin. Plasmin is an enzyme that, among other things, tells melanocytes to ramp up production. UV exposure and inflammation increase plasmin activity in the skin. More plasmin means more melanin. Tranexamic acid blocks plasmin. It literally interrupts the chemical conversation between damaged skin cells and your melanocytes. The message, produce more pigment, never gets delivered. A major review published in the journal Clinical, Cosmetic, and Investigational Dermatology in September 2023 summarized the mechanism, clinical applications, and safety of tranexamic acid for hyperpigmentation. The evidence is robust. Multiple clinical trials have confirmed that topical TXA significantly reduces the appearance of dark spots, melasma, and post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. And in January 2024, another study published in the journal Nature Scientific Reports tested a new formulation combining tranexamic acid with niacinamide in a neosomal delivery system. Neosomes are tiny vesicles that help active ingredients penetrate deeper into the skin. The results showed that this combination was significantly more effective than conventional formulations at reducing hyperpigmentation. But here's something I want to tell you directly. Tranexamic acid works best for stubborn pigmentation, the kind that has resisted other treatments. If you have been using vitamin C and koyic acid for months and those spots are still visible, tranexamic acid may be the missing piece. It targets a completely different pathway, the inflammatory signaling pathway, which is why combining it with tyrosinase inhibitors creates a multi-pronged attack. Compound number two, vitamin C. Now, I realize that when I say vitamin C, you might be thinking, Dr. Lee, everyone talks about vitamin C. I have been hearing about vitamin C for years, and you are right. But here is what nobody has told you about vitamin C and dark spots. Most people use vitamin C incorrectly. They buy a product that has been sitting on a shelf for months, exposed to light and air, and by the time it touches their skin, the vitamin C has already oxidized and degraded into something that not only does not work, it can actually contribute to the oxidative stress you are trying to fight. But when vitamin C is formulated correctly, specifically L-ascorbic acid, in a concentration of 10 to 20% at a pH below 3.5 in an airtight opaque container, it is a dual-action powerhouse for fading dark spots. Mechanism number one, vitamin C is a potent antioxidant. It neutralizes the free radicals generated by UV exposure that would otherwise trigger your melanocytes to produce more melanin. Think of it as putting a shield between your skin cells and the sun's damaging rays, not a replacement for sunscreen, but an additional layer of cellular protection. Mechanism number two, vitamin C directly inhibits tyrosinase, reducing melanin production at the source. But there is a mechanism number three that almost nobody talks about. Vitamin C is essential for collagen synthesis. It acts as a cofactor for the enzymes that cross-link collagen fibers in your skin. When you fade a dark spot, the skin underneath that spot needs to regenerate, needs to rebuild healthy new tissue. Vitamin C provides the raw material for that regeneration. It not only fades the spot, but helps your skin heal and renew more completely than it could on its own. A 12-week clinical study published in 2023 tested a comprehensive pigment-correcting serum that included a stable form of vitamin C called tetrahexyl decyl ascorbate alongside tranexamic acid, niacinamide, and other active ingredients. The participants showed significant improvement in the appearance of dark spots and overall skin brightness. But the key finding was that the improvement continued to increase over the full 12 weeks. This was not a quick surface level fix. This was progressive, sustained improvement at the cellular level. For Margaret, I recommended a vitamin C serum at 15% concentration applied every single morning after cleansing, 5 to 10 minutes before her moisturizer and sunscreen. The vitamin C needs that time to absorb and to penetrate before other products go on top. And I told her, I am telling you the same thing. Do not skip the morning application thinking that vitamin C is something you can use whenever. The morning is critical because that is when UV exposure begins. Vitamin C builds up in your skin over days and weeks, creating a reservoir of antioxidant protection. But it needs to be there waiting when the UV rays hit. Compound number one, and I promised you this would be something in your kitchen, turmeric. You heard me correctly. The bright yellow-orange spice sitting in your spice rack right now. The same ingredient you use to make curry, to add color to rice, to brew golden milk before bed. Turmeric contains a compound called curcumin, and curcumin is, in my clinical opinion, based on the available research, one of the most underappreciated natural tyrosinase inhibitors in the world. Let me walk you through the science because I want you to understand why your spice rack might be more effective than your medicine cabinet. A study published in the journal Frontiers in Pharmacology demonstrated that curcumin and its derivatives suppress melanogenesis, the process of melanin production, by reducing the expression of a protein called MITF. MITF stands for microphthalmia-associated transcription factor. This protein is the master regulator of melanin production. If tyrosinase is the foreman in the factory, MITF is the CEO who hired the foreman and sets the production targets. Curcumin reduces MITF levels. It goes straight to the top of the organizational chart. When MITF is suppressed, tyrosinase production drops, melanin synthesis decreases, and your skin begins to calm those hyperactive pigment factories at the deepest possible level. A comparative study of 6 different curcumin derivatives published in March 2024 confirmed that curcuminoids significantly inhibit melanogenesis through multiple pathways, not just through MITF suppression, but also through direct antioxidant effects and anti-inflammatory signaling. Inflammation, as I mentioned earlier with tranexamic acid, is one of the key drivers of stubborn pigmentation. Curcumin is one of the most potent natural anti-inflammatory compounds ever studied. It blocks NF-kappa B, a master inflammatory switch in your cells, and by reducing inflammation, it removes one of the signals that keeps melanocytes in overdrive. A review article covering the skin lightening effects of curcumin, published in the journal Molecules, analyzed multiple studies and concluded that curcumin inhibits melanin production in human melanocytes by reducing protein levels of MITF after just 48 hours of exposure. 48 hours. And the review also highlighted something remarkable. Curcumin has a photoprotective effect. It does not just fade existing spots. It helps prevent new ones from forming by protecting your melanocytes from UV-induced DNA damage. Now here's how Margaret used turmeric. And I want you to understand that this is not about rubbing raw turmeric powder on your face. Raw turmeric can temporarily stain the skin yellow, and it does not penetrate effectively without proper formulation. What Margaret did, based on my recommendation, was a two-pronged approach. First, a properly formulated curcumin serum or cream, one that contains bioavailable curcumin combined with a penetration enhancer like piperine from black pepper. This ensures the curcumin actually reaches the melanocytes where it can work. Second, and this is the kitchen ingredient approach, a weekly turmeric mask made with simple food-grade ingredients. Here's the recipe. 1 TSP of organic turmeric powder, 1 TBSP of plain full-fat yogurt. The lactic acid in yogurt gently exfoliates surface pigmentation, while the probiotics support your skin's microbiome. 1/2 ATSP of raw honey. Honey is a natural humectant that draws moisture into the skin and has its own mild lightening properties. And this is the secret that changes everything: a tiny pinch of freshly ground black pepper. The piperine in black pepper increases the absorption of curcumin by up to 2,000%. 2,000%. Mix these ingredients into a smooth paste. Apply it to clean skin. Leave it on for 15 to 20 minutes. Rinse gently with lukewarm water. Do not scrub. The yogurt is already doing the exfoliating work for you. Pat dry. Apply your moisturizer. You do this once a week consistently for 8 to 12 weeks and watch what happens. Margaret did this weekly mask for 3 months, combined with her daily niacinamide and vitamin C plus the kojic acid and tranexamic acid on alternating nights. And I want to tell you what she told me at her 3-month follow-up. She walked into my office, sat down, and she said, "Dr. Lee, yesterday a woman at the grocery store asked me what foundation I was wearing, and I was not wearing any foundation. I was not wearing any makeup at all." Now, I want to be clear with you about something. There is no single magic ingredient that will erase every dark spot on your face in 1 week. Anyone who promises you that is selling you something that does not work. Age spots form over decades. They will not disappear in 7 days. But what the science shows, what the clinical evidence demonstrates, is that consistent targeted treatment using the right combination of these 5 compounds and turmeric, vitamin C, tranexamic acid, kojic acid, and niacinamide can produce visible, measurable, lasting improvement in hyperpigmentation even after the age of 60, 70, and beyond. Your melanocytes are not broken. They are not permanently damaged beyond repair. They have just been overstimulated for too long, years, decades of accumulated sun exposure and inflammation, and they need the right signals to calm down and return to normal, even melanin production. That is what these 5 compounds provide. Not bleaching, not stripping, not damaging your skin, but signaling to your cells at the molecular level that it is time to return to balance. Here's my recommended protocol. Every morning, gentle cleanser, then a 15% vitamin C serum, wait 5 minutes, then a niacinamide serum at 4 to 5%, then a moisturizer, then sunscreen, minimum SPF 30 broad spectrum every single day, even if you are staying indoors. I want to say that again. If you do only one thing from this entire video, wear sunscreen every single day. Every additional minute of unprotected UV exposure is undoing everything these ingredients are trying to accomplish. In the evening, gentle cleanser, then alternate nights, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, a product containing kojic acid at 1 to 2% or tranexamic acid at 3 to 5%. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, a curcumin or turmeric based serum. Sunday, rest night. Apply your moisturizer and let your skin barrier recover. Once a week, the turmeric yogurt honey black pepper mask I described. Do not skip this. The combination of gentle enzymatic exfoliation from the yogurt, the tyrosinase inhibition from the curcumin, and the enhanced absorption from the piperine creates an at-home treatment that costs less than $1 compared to the $150, $200 professional treatments that use the same biological principles. I want to say one final thing because I believe it matters deeply and I want to say it directly. We live in a culture that has taught women over 60 that their skin is supposed to be flawless and ageless, and that every spot, every line, every visible sign of a life lived is something to be ashamed of. That is not true. Your age spots are not a moral failure. They are not evidence that you did something wrong. They are the visible record of decades of living in the sun, of laughing outdoors, of holding grandchildren at the beach, of gardening on summer afternoons. Those memories are written on your skin. And while you have every right to want to fade those spots, to feel more confident in the skin you are in, to feel like the face in the mirror matches the energy you feel inside, please do not let anyone make you feel ashamed of the life your skin has lived. Your body has an extraordinary capacity to repair and renew. It carried you this far, and with the right information, with the right tools, with the right understanding of what is happening at the cellular level, it will carry you so much further. If this video helped you understand your dark spots differently than you did before, if you feel like you finally have a roadmap instead of just another product to try, please take a moment to share this video with someone who needs to see it. A friend, a sister, a mother. Send it to them because the information that changes lives is the information that gets shared. And drop a comment below. Tell me your age and how long you have been struggling with dark spots. I read every single comment on this channel. Everyone, until next time, take care of your body. It has carried you this far, and with the right information, it will carry you so much further. One kitchen ingredient fades. Age spots faster than $200 creams. Dr. Lee explains.